And welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio. I am joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Nick Innerbichler of the Elite Income Advisors. How are you both this morning?
Doing great.
Nice
How about
to see
you
you again.
Doing well too.
Great.
It's so nice for us to be back together again. The shows are always, they're so informative, but they're also fun because for the viewing audience at home, it's so much fun to be on live TV because you never really know like when something's going to take a turn. And we laugh because our names, all three of them, are difficult to say. So I'm just hoping, obviously, that it comes out because we can't go back and we can't yell
re-record.
cut. But we've had so much going on lately. Obviously, you know, we're still talking so much about COVID-19 and how it's affected just the retirement atmosphere in general, if you will. But Prashant, I wanted to ask you, because we've heard a lot of buzzwords in between shows with the weeks. A lot of people are talking about taxes right now. So I have to ask you, in your opinion, are they going to go up?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball, but if I took it, my best educated guess, I'd say with how much debt we have nationally, I think we're over $23 trillion, and it takes more than $1 trillion to just service the interest on our debt each and every year. And now with all the new stimulus and all the money that's being pumped in to the economy and everything else, it's got to come from somewhere. And I think, unfortunately, it's probably going to result in higher taxes in the future. I mean, that's the way I see it. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be able to plan for that when we're planning for retirement. You know, we always are conditioned to think about the market and think about our income, but so often we're not considering taxes enough when we build those retirement plans. So we make sure that when we put together a retirement plan, we try to make it as tax efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, one of the biggest things to look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Nick, let me ask you, there's also been so much talk lately about the CARES Act. Can you talk to the viewing audience a little bit about that and how it impacts retirement?
Sure. With what happened back in February and March with the market drop about 30%, the government responded with the CARES Act, which was part of the stimulus to Americans, but it also affected retirees in a very positive manner. A lot of the people we work with are aging, and they're in that age group where they have to take out a distribution each year from their retirement accounts, whether they like it or need it or not. But this year, we saw this previously, 2010, I believe it happened before. The government has waived the RMD requirement for those that are over now 72 for 2020. And we get lots of questions about that. Should I take my RMD? Do I, if I don't take it, do I have to take 2 next year? And it's very simple. It's very simple. You do not have to take your 2020 required minimum distribution if you don't want to.
Okay.
But everybody's different, and we've talked about that before. It's not clear cut. Some of our clients are taking it because it's a part of their retirement income. Some people are not taking it because of the impact to their taxable income. So it's something that we need to sit down and talk with our clients on an individual basis, but it's a question that everybody should be asking. Is it something I should do this year? Should I take the distribution to minimize how much I have in my IRA? Because as Prashant said, we don't have a crystal ball, but history is going to say that tax rates are going to go up.
Sure.
They're lower than ever before in the history of our country. And in order to recoup some of the spending that our country has put out there over the last several months and years, taxes are probably going to go up.
Mm-hmm. And Prashant, are you having that question a lot? The people that are calling in right now, due to the market changes that we had with COVID-19, are people calling in and asking you questions about this? Like, Prashant, should I be taking the RMD now? Should I wait? How do you determine that? Do you just have them?
Yeah, actually, I just spoke with a long-time client last Friday where he doesn't need his RMD, but he's thinking he may take one, him and his wife, they may take one of theirs and not take the other one. It's all about taxes. You know, it's all about, am I going to be pushed up into a higher income bracket? And taxes, I always like to say there's almost like a tax domino that comes into effect. You know, you move one small thing and it affects every other part of your plan. A lot of people forget that your taxable income determines how much you pay for your Medicare premiums. It also determines how much of your Social Security benefit that you're receiving could potentially be taxable. So it's not as simple as just looking at how much tax am I going to pay on this one distribution. It's more so looking at the tax domino and figuring out If I do take it, is it going to impact 3 or 4 other parts of my retirement plan? And that's the part that a lot of people just do not think about. And so that's what our responsibility is to help people, along with our CPA, to help them figure those more complex things out.
Thank you, Prashant. And Nick, let me ask you, how important is it to know the difference between a statement that comes in the mail and a true written comprehensive retirement plan?
That's a great question. I've been in the business almost 16 years, and as an advisor, I've seen many different statements. And there are a few companies out there, I of course won't name names, but there are statements that come into our office and they give me headaches. And I know that as individual investors who do not have the background that I have, that know how to look at a statement, those statements are just numbers on a page, whereas the very succinct income for life plan that we put together, it's black and white. And as we've talked about before, it's not so much how much money you have in your pocket, so to speak. It's how much income is that money going to generate for you, along with the other Social Security, as Prashant's mentioned, pensions and things like that. They all go hand in hand. And if you have that black and white plan that we put together for all of our clients, you're going to know and you're not going to have any questions. Those statements that come, you can look at them to see, did you make any money this quarter? Did you lose any money? But the succinct income for life plan is the more important component.
I like that, income for life plan. That's a great way that you put that, Nick.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Prashant, let me ask you, so it's not retirement one size fits all, correct?
Absolutely not. Yeah. 100% correct. Everyone is different. I think the principles that we employ are very similar from one client to the next, but no one's situation is exactly the same. And so that's part of what makes our job fun every day coming to work, is putting together highly personalized plans for people and then servicing those plans over time. Because, the plan that you put in is almost never the plan that you end up with 10 or 15 years down the road.
Sure.
There's always going to be changes that are unexpected. I mean, heck, we're going through COVID right now, and who could have ever predicted anything like that? So there's going to be different stressors and different life events that will force us to make changes and pivot and really make sure that we're in compliance. But it's all with the understanding that we're working towards that common goal of, what do I want my retirement to look like? What's important to me? Who do I want to spend it with? And how do we make it as abundant as possible? I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a very stress-free process, isn't it, Nick? When someone's coming in to meet with you for the first time, it's kind of like casual conversation.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this in previous weeks, but we like to think that our clients are like a part of our extended family, and we want to develop that rapport and that understanding of what's important. I love to hear about my clients' grandchildren. I love to hear about their travels, because I hope to be there someday. And I've got young children myself, but I look forward to those interactions with my grandchildren hopefully one day, and I love to see that. But we want the people that are coming to us for the first time to know we're not here to just put together a cookie cutter plan. We're fiduciaries, and that's very important. We have their best interests, but if they think about it this way, we wouldn't do anything different for our families than we are doing for the people that we're meeting for the first time. So we treat them very responsibly and very, lovingly in our practice.
Absolutely. And Prashant, we're about ready to open up those phone lines. Can you tell the viewing audience what they can expect by calling in today?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you call in, the phone number is 833-308-5200. And for the first 10 callers, and we only do 10 every week because our phone lines go crazy. And so what we do is we're going to be giving away a complimentary series of reports that will kind of build up your retirement plan. The first report is going to be a Social Security analysis, where we're going to help you figure out all the different available Social Security strategies and figure out which one is best for you and your family. Secondly, the income for life plan that Nick had mentioned earlier. Figure out how much income you're going to have coming in each and every year for the rest of your lifetime, and evaluate the tax consequences of that income. And then number 3, of course, is the portfolio analysis, where we'll be able to do a Morningstar report, but more importantly than that, show you what fees are in your portfolio, both transparent and hidden. as well as figure out the risk in your portfolio. Best case and worst case stress test is what we do on it. And so we're giving that away for the first 10 callers that call in. It's about $1,000 value or so that we give away complimentary.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Nick. To the viewing audience at home, please stay with us. The number to call again is 833-308-5200. We know you have more plans about, or more questions, I should say, about planning your perfect retirement. We're going to be right back after this very short commercial break. Thank you for watching.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio. I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Nick Innerbichler of the Elite Income Advisors. And a wonderful show that we're having. And we're talking a little bit about, obviously, taxes are going to go up in the future. We know that, right? Without having a crystal ball, we can say with confidence that that's going to happen. But I also want to talk a little bit about, we're hearing a lot of buzzwords about the Roth conversion.
Yeah.
So can you kind of give the viewing audience an overview of what that is and why it might be a benefit for them?
Sure. So you may be familiar with a Roth IRA, and a Roth IRA is an account, it's a retirement account where it's funded with after-tax dollars. But the best thing about a Roth is that as your money grows over time, when you go to withdraw it, provided that you're over age 59 and a half and that you've held that account for at least 5 years, all of the growth that you've gotten is actually going to be tax-free, income tax-free. And so what a Roth conversion is, it's when you take your pre-tax traditional IRA and you pay all the taxes in the year that you make the conversion, and then it's tax-free forever. And obviously that has a couple of really good benefits. The tax-free is a good thing, but secondly is that Roth IRAs are not subjected to the age 72 mandated required minimum distribution.
Okay.
And I talked about the tax domino earlier. A lot of times that required minimum distribution is unnecessary taxable income, which is why, like Nick said, a lot of people are not taking it out this year. And so by doing a Roth conversion before you get to the age of 72, you may be able to exempt yourself from taking out unnecessary or unwanted required minimum distributions.
Okay.
And the last quick thing about Roths is that when they pass on to your beneficiaries, they pass on to the next beneficiary income tax free as well. So tremendous tax benefits. I don't think people look enough at doing Roth conversions. They're not right for everybody, but for a lot of people, they make a tremendous amount of sense. And so that's something we at least have the conversation with our clients, with every single person about, is potentially reducing future tax liability with a Roth conversion.
And Nick, are you seeing this to be a benefit for a lot of your clients that you're sitting with today?
Absolutely. I think everybody should consider it. As Prashant said, it may not be right for everybody, but I think what we saw at the end of last year with the Secure Acts, the new legislation that went into place that eliminated the stretch IRA, which for us as advisors was very disappointing to see that happen, understand why it is happening, but it eliminates one of the biggest planning tools that we as individuals had in order to pass tax-free money or pass money with a lower impact tax-wise. The stretch IRA no longer exists. So as Prashant mentioned, I think a lot more people should start to consider whether a Roth conversion is proper for them. Because with a lack of a stretch IRA being there, there's always going to be taxes due on a traditional IRA plan to the next generation. Whoever our clients leave their money to when they're gone, those individuals, whether it be a child, a family member, they also are going to have to pay taxes. Whereas with a Roth conversion, leaving that money, letting it grow for the next decade and whatever it might be longer, that's a great planning tool that I think a lot more people should consider.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nick. And Prashant, that could actually change someone's tax bracket, correct? I mean, if you're inheriting a lot of money that you weren't planning, so you need to plan for that in advance.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. So when you inherit traditional IRA or 401k money and you start to take distributions off of that, those distributions count as income. So if you already have earned income through your own job and then you inherit an IRA and you're forced to take distributions from that account, that income is going to be on top of your earned income, which could, like we said, tax domino, increase your tax bracket, increase the amount you pay. If you're retired, increase the amount you pay on your Social Security and taxes, increase your Medicare premium. The list goes on and on, the type of effect that can have. And you can eliminate a lot of that liability just with some proper planning. And it's through no fault of anyone. Most of the time, it's because there's not enough education out there as to how to take advantage of these things. And so that's what our job is to educate the folks that come to see us first and foremost, and then hopefully transition that education into being able to take concrete steps to be able to reduce your tax liability in the future.
Thank you so much, Prashant. And Nick, let me ask you a question. How often do you recommend reviewing a plan that you've put in place for someone?
So it's very common for us to see our clients, and Prashant mentioned this before, is when our clients, when they first become clients, we see them much more frequently, probably 4 or 5 times. It depends on what part of the planning needs to be fulfilled. But as time goes on, it's good to review at least once a year. Doesn't mean you need to make big changes to it, but as you get closer to those goals, or those milestones, such as retirement, or as there's a death or there's a birth, it's very important when there's a change in your life to look at what you have and make sure that it's still on track. And we do that probably once a year with most of our clients. Some people need a little bit more reassurance that they're on track. So it just depends on the circumstances, but probably need to review it every couple years just to make sure that something like what we just experienced with the market doesn't mean you have to work longer. That's the worst news we can ever provide to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. That would not be one that you would want to hear. Like,
I don't like being the bearer of bad news. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But Prashant, the flip side of that is, how often do you get to tell people, you're fine, you can retire today?
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part of our job, right? That's the best part of what we do, is being able to help somebody who's accumulated. I like to say people accumulate stuff, and our job is to make sense of all this stuff. And a lot of times we see people who come in thinking that they have no shot of retiring, and through no fault of their own, just because they don't know what's out there, we're able to put it into a comprehensive written plan, which immediately allows them to potentially retire. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go in the next day and retire, but it at least gives them some peace of mind to know have a written plan in place where I can pick up a sheet of paper and know what my income is going to be, or pick up a sheet of paper and know what my risk is. And that's a tremendous sense of comfort. And so that's the best part of what we do, is helping people work through their stuff to make it into something that's comprehensive and coordinated. Yeah.
Excellent. And Prashant, I think it's almost time for us to take another commercial break. What can you tell the viewing audience for calling?
Yeah, sure. So for anyone who calls in, first 10 callers only, it's going to be 833-308-5200 is the phone number. For the first 10 callers only, you're going to get a complimentary series of reports, including a Social Security analysis, an tax-efficient income for life report, which is also going to help you project out those required minimum distributions that we had talked about before. And then number 3 is a portfolio stress test and Morningstar analysis, which will help you understand not just the fees, both hidden and not hidden in your portfolio, but also the risks, the best case and the worst case scenario. So we like to say that our strategies typically work best for folks who have $1 million or more saved for retirement. But if you're not at that mark, that's completely okay. If you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement, our strategies will work great for you. So if you call in, the phone number is 833-308-5200. You'll get that complimentary series of reports.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Nick. To the viewing audience at home, please don't go anywhere. We know you have a lot of questions about planning your perfect retirement. We are here to provide the answers. That number to call once again is 833-308-5200. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio. I am joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Nick Innerbichler of the Elite Income Advisors. So the phone lines were lighting up, guys, as we were going to the commercial break. And I love to see that because we know that the viewing audience, they have questions. They're not only calling in to schedule a time to sit with both of you, but sometimes they actually leave remarks as well. So Prashant, I'm going to ask you a question that just came in from a viewer. She said, I have most of my money in a traditional IRA. I'm 66 years old and I'm still working.
All right.
Is it better to convert to a Roth IRA and invest? And am I able to transfer the stocks in the traditional IRA or do I have to sell them?
Okay. Great question. It's a bit of a loaded question. So it depends, right? Because if she said she's already working and so she has an income coming in. So if she's going to make a Roth conversion, then whatever she converts is going to go on top of her existing income this year. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because Nick said it before, tax rates today are relatively low. And so taking advantage of a Roth conversion today, even with the additional income that she has at potentially lower rates may be beneficial for her instead of having to pay the taxes when she's 72 at an unknown rate at that point in time. So from that standpoint, it could be a good thing. With that being said, we have to evaluate the personal tax consequences with that individual's situation. In terms of do you have to sell your investments to be able to make a Roth conversion, the answer to that is actually no in a lot of cases. You can do what's called a transfer in kind from one account to another account, from an IRA to a Roth IRA. And so it doesn't actually sell your investments out, but it does make the transaction taxable. So you want to make sure you have an advisor who knows what they're doing when it comes to that type of nuance, because any mistakes that can be made in there could come with a pretty hefty price tag. So work with a specialist who knows what they're doing, who's done Roth conversions in the past, and then work with a fiduciary who's looking out for your best interest first and foremost. That's what I would say.
And Nick, to the viewing audience at home, can you explain what a fiduciary is? Because Prashant just tapped on that, and I think it would be great for you to share what that means.
Sure. Fiduciary, in the most simplest terms, is just an advisor that has your best interest first.
Yep.
In the past, it was very conflicted how advisors would work. There's compensation paid to us in many different ways, but a fiduciary has to put your best interest as the investor before ours as the as instead of the investment advisor. So as Prashant has alluded to before, if we do the right thing for our clients and our clients' accounts grow over time, we in turn will do well. So we like to say we're sitting on the both sides of the table. We have the same goals in place. We want them to succeed, and by them succeeding, we in turn will succeed as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nick, for explaining. Because a lot of people are probably wondering, what is a fiduciary?
We
How do I know if I'm working with one?
We get that all the time.
Ask. A lot of times people are afraid to ask the question because they think that they sound silly, or that maybe they think it's not a stupid question. You have to ask your advisor, are you a fiduciary? How do you get paid? We're very transparent about this stuff, and I feel very strongly about that. You need to ask these questions when you're evaluating any advisor, and I invite you to ask our team those questions. We will tell you exactly why the plan we've put together for you is in your best interest, and not just tell you, but we'll show you.
And Prashant, may I ask you, how important is it to have a second opinion? Let's say someone in the viewing audience right now, they feel really comfortable with where they are. Should they have their plan looked at again?
I think it's never a bad thing to get a second set of eyes, or a third set of eyes, or a fourth set of eyes, right? Because everybody looks at the same thing and has their own perspective on it. So maybe there's something you haven't thought about. Maybe you've considered your portfolio's risk and return. You're very comfortable with that, but have you considered taxes? Have you considered Medicare? Have you considered health benefits as a part of your overall retirement plan? And so that's part of the reason that we make that complimentary offer. You know, if you call in to 833-308-5200, we're going to put together that Social Security optimization report. We're also going to do the income for life plan to show you how much income you're going to have coming in for the rest of your life and your spouse's life if you're married. And then number 3 is that portfolio risk analysis to look at the best case and worst case stress test of your portfolio, evaluate the transparent and hidden fees in your portfolio, and most of all, just put you on the right track when it comes to your retirement. So first 10 callers, 833-308-5200.
Prashant, Nick, I can't believe we're almost to the end of another amazing show that we've done this week. To the viewing audience at home, thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a blessed week. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you very soon.